Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Getting Around a Bad Bean Counter. I was a one-man IT shop at a small manufacturer. I had been there for years. I was actually the third employee ever hired, and now the company was like 120 people. I was very frugal, but in smart ways. I got a lot done for little money and always was looking out for the company. The owner recognized and respected this. Anyhow, we had gotten big enough that I didn't report to the owner anymore. I was assigned to report to an inexperienced accountant who got her degree from some sketchy online school. She was going to change the world. I used to be able to just buy anything I wanted, because the owner knew whenever I asked for a company credit card that I had already done my homework and it would be good for the company. Well, now, if anything was over $500, I had to go through this process with her to justify it. It wouldn't bug me, except that she had no real business savvy or common sense. It was just painful for me to try and explain the most obvious things to her, and she would fight it just because of power tripping or something. For example, I was trying to justify having at least one computer loaded up and ready to go as a hot spare for when someone's broke. She balked at having $1,500 sitting on a shelf unused. I tried to explain that about once a month someone's computer would break. All she could see was the $1,500 sitting unused most of the time. She couldn't understand the real cost of a broken computer. That the person could no longer do their job effectively. Parts not getting ordered, jobs not getting expedited, emails not getting returned. Me having to drop everything to react to the situation. Overnighting in parts. The true impact cost to the company was several hundreds of dollars every month. She couldn't see that having a spare would pay for itself in half a year or so. After half an hour of fighting over this, I had an epiphany. I handed the requisition approval forms to her and told her she was right and left. Any purchases under $500 didn't need any approval at all. Now, nothing I ever bought was over $500. I didn't buy a spare computer. I bought 3, as parts, and assembled them into computers. Servers, network storage. Why justify to a bean counter who wouldn't understand anyway? Just buy more parts and assemble yourself. Dual monitors for everybody, as I bought one at a time. The next story is called Account for Every Minute. Mid-2020, I moved across the country and started a new job. Before I accepted, I made it clear that I would need an adjusted schedule because of Rona and childcare issues. I am told this is totally fine. We are all adults and can manage our own time. As long as I'm working the right number of hours within certain parameters, everything will be great. It became obvious very quickly that my new boss and I were not getting along. She was very proud of her computer science PhD from the 90s and hadn't learned a thing about computers since. I was supposed to be tech support and she really didn't like being wrong. Also, I was morally opposed to holding an 80-person indoor event because again, Rona. Anyway, about 3 months into my tenure, she tells me that she forgot to tell me that she needs an accounting of my time each week to make sure it all adds up to enough hours. She says everyone does them, and she'd just forgotten to have me start. I asked around in our very small team of about 5 people. Nobody has ever heard of anything like this. I asked her about what they said. She says she needs to make sure that I'm not getting away with working less because of my modified schedule and to just do it. So I write down every single deviation from the standard schedule, every single time. Arrived 1 minute early, it goes on the spreadsheet. Took a 3-minute shorter lunch, on the spreadsheet. Left 7.5 minutes early to get my kids, better believe that half minute is going on the spreadsheet. Stayed 11 minutes late, heck yeah. Did I make my schedule even weirder than usual? Maybe. I used Excel to make sure everything totaled exactly perfectly. But she didn't tell me to do the math for her, so I deleted it before I printed the spreadsheet out to sign and turn in. She spent almost an hour the first time doing math. I know this because she complained endlessly about it to my coworker. It took all of 2 weeks, 2 spreadsheets, for her to tell me that I could start managing my own time again. The third story is called Move Out of the Ray. This story takes place on a dark, cold, rainy winter morning. It was about 7:30 AM. The outside temperature was not above 5 degrees Celsius, and I was in my car like many others, patiently sitting in traffic. I was in a roundabout, at the exit of it. My car was still fully in the roundabout's right lane, and there was a lot of traffic before and after me. Though I was taking a lot of space in the roundabout, I did my best to get as close as possible to the car in front of me, so the cars who wanted to go around the roundabout could pass behind me. Granted, they had to get their wheel on top of the not high concrete plate in the middle of the roundabout, but this made it possible to pass behind me. Several cars made their way around the roundabout without me stopping them whatsoever. Then comes this SUV. The SUV was higher and had bigger wheels than the previous Polo or Golf that already passed behind me without issues. So I was very surprised when he stopped behind me and started honking. As I was, to my appreciation, already almost touching the car in front of me, of course I didn't push. The guy kept honking, then got out of his car visibly aggravated. But he also seemed taken aback when I lowered my window with a friendly smile on my face. I guess he was expecting me to be hostile. Can you move? Don't you see you're blocking traffic? Well, I would, if I could. I'm already almost touching the car in front of me. The SUV driver ran in front of my car to check and came back, realizing his stupidity but refusing to admit it. Well, you could move it closer still. Oh, sure, of course. I cannot see in front. You can just help me do so. What? Yeah, just guide me. Tell me how close I can get. I then proceed to move forward as slowly as possible, while that guy was trying to pretend I had more room to move forward, but couldn't commit to it because of how close I was already. While we were playing that little game, traffic began moving again, and I just passed that guy without even looking at him. The next story is called Speak to a Man. This happened about 15 or so years ago. I was a team lead at an IT help desk for a company that provided outsourced support to companies in a specific profession. Said profession is known for having employees that are very demanding and needing everything right now. One of the people I supervised was, let's say, challenging. We call him George. George was late 15 or so days a month, spoke in a mostly incomprehensible mumble and had been caught by callers multiple times falling asleep and snoring while on a phone call. He's also not so great at troubleshooting and worse at documenting his troubleshooting steps. At this point, I'd been on a month-long crusade to have him fired. He was dragging down the team and giving me a constant headache because I had to follow up with his disgruntled users. One morning, I got a phone call from a newer user who was extremely agitated and already angry about his computer issues. I barely got off my standard greeting when this happened. Look, I'm sure you are really good at whatever it is you do here, but can I talk to one of the men? I need this done right now. I'm never exactly sure why people think my lady parts make me incompetent with a computer. But hey, he did ask for a man, so I'm happy to oblige. I check around the room and it's early, so no one else is on a call. Gee, who on earth should I send this ray of sunshine to? Obviously, I inform George that my caller wants a man and is insisting, so I'm transferring the call to him. George spends a good 30 minutes on this call. I hear him start snoring at this point and he's getting nowhere with the issue. The guy he's working with is getting angrily loud enough that I can hear him over George's headset. Finally, the user demands to speak to George's manager. So George transfers him back to me and I sweetly apologize for the delay in resolving his issue and say I'd be happy to help him with his problem if he's okay with me working on it. For some mysterious reason, now he's fine with that. I know the exact fix because I helped the in-house IT people test it out. I have him fixed in 2 minutes flat. I have never heard such a meek thank you. The dude ended up asking for me a lot of the time after that. Which, thanks, I guess. At least he was always polite to me. George did finally get fired a few months later, long after I'd given up hope. The last story is called 10 hours doing a 10-minute job. Early 2000s I was working at a now defunct airline. An airplane came in for overnight work with an inoperative boost pump. These were new airplanes, which were also a new type to the company. I had this problem before, so I had a hunch it was a bad relay. Pull the wiring prints and find where the other relay with the same part number is and proceed to swap the suspect relay with a known good one. The problem followed the bad relay, so in less than 10 minutes I knew what the fix would be. So I order up a new relay from the stores. Now the supervisor comes around and says maintenance control wants the boost pump swapped for troubleshooting. I plead my case, telling him it's fixed as soon as the new relay arrives. He said he wanted them swapped anyway. I get paid by the hour, so whatever. I swap the pumps around and the problem is still there. Now, since serial numbers are tracked on where they are installed on the aircraft, I swap both pumps back to their original position. I go in and tell the supervisor that the problem wasn't fixed, and grab the relay I ordered earlier. I replace the relay and all operation checks are good. As I'm walking back into the office to sign it off, the supervisor meets me walking through the hangar. He had the exact wiring print I had printed up earlier. And he wants me to take a look at the exact relay I just replaced, because my control thinks that might be the issue. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.